Open this video right now, not later. Right now. There is a record that has been filed regarding your life, and it needs to be delivered to you this very second. Not next week. Not when things finally calm down. Now, because the verdict has been reached, and there is a window open for you to receive it with full awareness. You're about to discover the Hebrew name for what you just walked through, and you're going to understand why everything that felt like resistance was actually your qualification. You've been through a season, whether it was just recently or it's been a long, hard road, where it felt like everything was falling apart at the exact same time. It wasn't just one massive disaster. It was a dozen medium-sized problems hitting you all at once. It felt like the very atmosphere was conspiring against every move you tried to make. At some point during this stretch, you asked yourself if you'd made a spiritual mistake, if there was some unconfessed sin, a broken promise, something to explain why the weight was so unbearable. You watched people around you move forward with apparent ease while you were getting stuck on things that should have been simple. You tried not to compare, but you did. And that comparison stung in a very specific way. You reached a breaking point, maybe recently, maybe this morning, where you simply told God you didn't know anymore. Not as a way of quitting, but as an honest admission that you had reached the absolute limit of what you could do on your own. It's not a lack of effort. It's not a weak faith. It's something between the exhaustion of someone who's been tested longer than they expected and the confusion of someone who didn't realize they were being tested at all. Before we go any further, there are 3 things you're going to receive here. First, the Hebrew name of the process you just completed and what it reveals about who you've become. Second, a 3-step protocol to receive your results with intention, so you don't let what was forged in the fire slip through your fingers. Third, a declaration that will redefine how you interpret the next cycle when it arrives. Stay with me until the end. The closing protocol is specifically for those who have just stepped out of the furnace. Don't skip ahead. What's there isn't found anywhere else. There is a 21-day tool that works specifically on what happens after the zaref. Because without the possession cycle, many people end up back in the same fire unnecessarily. Keep that in the back of your mind for a moment. And if you have to leave before we finish, that protocol is already waiting for you in the first pinned comment below. But stay until the end. Because without the context we're about to dive into, the 3 cycles won't carry the same weight over your household. Close your eyes for a second. Or at least look away from the screen. Don't analyze it. Don't defend yourself. Just let this land. I'm going to describe 5 signs. If I'm right about at least 3 of them, you and I will both know exactly why you landed on this video today. The first sign, the resistance came from the inside and the outside at the same time. It wasn't just external circumstances. There was an internal battle raging too. Doubt, an identity crisis, wondering if it was even worth it to keep going. You were fighting what was happening to you, and at the same time, you were fighting that voice asking if you were in the right place, doing the right thing, or if you were even the right person for the job. That's not a pathology. That's the fire separating the dross from the gold. The second sign, you had to make a choice more than once without any guarantee of the outcome. Decisions where you didn't have enough evidence to feel safe. You chose by faith or by raw conviction without being able to prove you were right. Every choice cost you something. Time, money, a relationship, comfort. And you chose without knowing if it would even work out. That is zaref, the metal choosing to remain in the heat. The third sign, something was removed that you didn't ask to be removed. A relationship, an opportunity, even a version of yourself that you actually liked. It wasn't a punishment. It was removed because it wasn't part of the pure alloy. The removal hurt. You tried to hang on. You tried to fix it. But it was taken anyway. It was necessary. The fourth sign, you've become quieter. Not introverted as a personality trait. Quiet in a different way. It's as if big words no longer fit what you're experiencing. You stopped trying to explain yourself to everyone. You stopped asking for advice on things that can't be solved by a conversation. You entered a silence that wasn't depression. It was processing. The fire of Zareph isn't loud on the inside. The fifth sign. You are here, on the other side, still holding the question about the result. The fact that you reached this video with that question in your heart is in itself the result. Those who are consumed by the fire don't make it to the other side to ask questions. You're asking because you survived, and you want to know what it all means. Stop for a second. How many of those 5 hit home? 3? 4? All 5? If at least 3 resonated as a recognition, not a coincidence, then you already know this message didn't find you by accident. 2 of the 5 signs you just recognized are the exact markers the Miracle Journal uses to identify where you are in the spiritual process. It's in the first pinned comment. But don't go yet. What's coming next changes how you read everything. Go down to the comments right now and type, "I passed the test I didn't know I was taking." Declare it before you fully understand it. The declaration opens the door to receiving. Now comes the part that changes everything. There is a word in the original Hebrew that names exactly what you went through. And when you understand what this word means, everything that looked like chaos will snap into order. The word is Zareph. Most people think of suffering and trials as synonyms for punishment or the absence of blessing. When a hard season hits, the first reaction is to ask, what did I do wrong? Where did I mess up? What unconfessed sin is blocking my life? And that mistake is expensive. The cost of that misunderstanding is that you spent your testing period interpreting hardship as an eviction notice from God, a sign of abandonment, or an indicator that something was fundamentally wrong with you. You asked for forgiveness for sins that might not have even existed. You questioned your faith. You never realized you were being certified, not punished. But Zareph doesn't mean punishment. The original root refers to the process of a silversmith, refining metal by fire. In biblical Hebrew, it's the same process applied to gold and to the chosen people. And here is the detail that changes the game. The silversmith doesn't put the metal in the fire out of anger or to punish it. He puts it there because only the fire can separate the pure metal from the impurities that don't belong. And the silversmith watches. He doesn't walk away. He doesn't get distracted. He stays right there, watching the entire process. And he pulls the metal out at the exact moment he can see his own reflection in the surface. God only takes you out of the fire when he can see his reflection in you. What you lived through over the last few months or years wasn't abandonment. It was active Zareph. And the result has just been revealed. You passed. The reflection of God appeared. You passed the test not despite the difficulties, but because of them. Let me show you 2 stories that reach the same point from different directions. First story, Job. Job didn't understand the process while he was in it. He defended his innocence without knowing that his integrity was exactly what was being certified. He asked for explanations. He questioned. He demanded answers. And God showed up, but not with an explanation. He showed up with a question. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? It wasn't a put-down. It was a repositioning. Job was asking for an explanation of the process, as if he were the judge. God showed him he was the metal, not the refiner. And in the end, God didn't say, "You handled that well." He said, "You spoke of me what was right." The result of the Zareph was a confirmed identity, not just a trial overcome. Second story, a commercial pilot. A pilot isn't certified just by flying hours in perfect weather. They are certified by hours in adverse conditions, emergency simulations, and situations that test what happens when the systems fail. The certificate isn't given despite the difficulties. It's given because of them. No one wants to be in the flight simulator when the engine fails, when visibility drops to zero, or when fuel runs low. But that is exactly where the pilot discovers if they can be trusted with 200 lives on board. 2 different paths to the same destination. You didn't miss your moment. You were arriving at it through the only route that could lead you here. Let me stop for 1 full minute and put this into plain English. No poetry, no metaphors, just the facts of what you know now that you didn't know when this video started. Fact 1. The refiner who executes the Zaraf does not abandon the metal in the fire. He watches it. Fact 2. The moment of removal is determined by a specific criterion, when the refiner's reflection appears on the surface. Fact 3. God saw his reflection in you. That's why the result was revealed now. And here is who you are in the middle of all this. Receiving the result requires you to step into 3 identities that became true in the fire. Identities you didn't have before you entered the process. Move your thumb toward the first pinned comment below. Don't click it yet. Just let your eyes find it and acknowledge it's there. Do that now. It was while searching for answers to this that I found the Miracle Journal. 21 days to unlock the blocked blessings in your life. And here's what I discovered. Without the 3-cycle protocol, breaking, purging, and claiming, most people leave the Zaraf, but never actually receive the result. The metal is refined, but it's never positioned as refined metal. Let me explain the 3 cycles. Cycle 1 is breaking, identifying the patterns that would put you back in the same fire unnecessarily. Because there is Zaraf that God ordains, and there is Zaraf we create ourselves by repeating the same mistakes in our positioning. The breaking cycle separates the 2. Cycle 2 is purging, removing the residue of the process. Because what was separated during the heat needs to be washed away completely. If the residue stays, it contaminates the refined metal, and you'll end up back in the fire because of what wasn't removed, not because of a new sin. Cycle 3 is claiming. Positioning yourself as certified, not just a survivor. The difference between the 2 is the difference between someone who carries the trophy and someone who just carries the scar. The claiming cycle teaches you to declare the result before the next difficulty even arrives. 21 days, 1 cycle per week. Every day has a short meditation, a specific declaration, and a practical move. And it comes with 2 bonuses that are yours to keep even if you ask for a refund. Bonus 1, the prayer guide. 15 prayers for specific moments, including the prayer of the fire certified. You open it when the pain is too loud to improvise. Bonus 2, the Psalms manual. 10 Psalms with meditations and declarations, including the Zaraf Psalms and their result declarations. You open it in the morning before the first thought of the day takes hold. 7-day guarantee. If you try it and feel it's not for you, ask for a refund. Keep the bonuses. The risk is on us. It costs less than a week's worth of anxiety meds. Less than a latte and a bagel at the shop down the street. Less than a Friday night pepperoni pizza. Less than taking the kids out for a burger on Saturday. And here's the kicker. Hesitating right now is the very pattern that would put you back in an unnecessary fire. You've already passed once. You don't need to repeat the process just because you failed to take your position. The link is in the first pinned comment. Click it now while the result is still ringing in your ears. And if you leave before the end, the protocol is waiting. But stay, because what comes next isn't anywhere else. Now here is who you are. The first identity. The metal that stood its ground. This is about your origin. You didn't tap out. You didn't beg to be pulled out prematurely, and that shouldn't be taken for granted. There are people who leave the fire early. They negotiate with God to get out. They abandon the process because they can't take it anymore. Not you. And that endurance authorizes you to receive a result that isn't available to those who quit early. What comes next is specific to those who stayed until the refiner saw his face. The second identity, the bearer of the image. This is about the process. God's reflection appeared in you. This isn't poetic language. It's a spiritual diagnosis. You now carry a mark that the fire produced. The ability to reflect who God is in situations that used to break you. People are going to look at you over the next few months and they won't understand where that steadiness comes from. It's not your personality. It's the reflection. What the bearer of the image is authorized for is this. You can now walk into environments where chaos is the norm, and God's reflection will show up through you without you even trying. The third identity, fire certified. This is about your mission. Your certification doesn't come from a human institution, social approval, or favorable circumstances. It comes from the process you just completed, and a fire certification cannot be revoked by any future circumstance. A pilot who was tested in an emergency simulator doesn't lose their certification when they hit real turbulence. The real turbulence just confirms the certification was necessary. What the fire certified is authorized for is this. You no longer have to prove anything. The result has already been declared. The next time someone questions your spiritual authority, you won't need to defend yourself. The fire already did the defending. What comes next requires the residue of the process to be gone. The purging cycle of the Miracle Journal does exactly that. First pinned comment. But before you go, answer me in the comments. Which of those three identities feels the newest to you? And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Not as a favor to me, but because the next word prepared for you needs a clear path to find you without resistance. Hit the bell icon too. Now, here is the protocol you perform tonight before you go to sleep. The Zaref Completion Protocol, receiving the result. 3 steps. Less than 5 minutes. Don't skip any of them. Step 1. Name the fire with precision. What was the specific period, the situation, or the process you just went through? Don't just say hard times. Give it its real name. It was the job loss in March. It was the falling out with your oldest son. It was the diagnosis that came out of nowhere. It was the betrayal that tore the marriage apart. The real name. Out loud. Alone in your room. Before you sleep. Step 2. Declare the result. Say this. I passed the Tsaraf. God's reflection has appeared in me. I am refined metal. No longer raw material. Not as a way to convince yourself, as a recognition. You aren't trying to talk yourself into something that isn't true. You are declaring something that has already been decided and needs to be received through your words. Step 3. Receive the certification. Say, I accept the result. I don't need to understand everything that happened in the process to receive what the process produced. And then, stay in silence for 30 seconds. Don't pray. Don't give thanks yet. Just stay quiet. Like someone who just signed a legal document and is letting the ink dry. You'll know you've completed it when you feel a settling. Not an intellectual answer. An internal settling. As if a question that's been open for a long time finally closed. It's the metal recognizing its own purity. The 3 identities you've assumed now. The metal that stood, the bearer of the image, fire certified. The Miracle Journal works through the layers that prevent them from manifesting before the next test comes. First comment. But stay a little longer, because what's coming is urgent. In the next 72 hours, 3 specific things will be launched against you. Not as a possibility, as a certainty. The first tactic. The new fire. A difficult situation will pop up in the next 72 hours. It will look like the process didn't end. Like there's more Zaref ahead. It could be real, or it could be a provocation. The way to tell the difference is this. You already have a declared result. A new fire doesn't cancel the result of the previous one. If what appears makes you question if the Tsaraf was real, It's a tactic. If what appears makes you apply the result of the tzaraf, it's a continuation. The weapon against the new fire is to declare out loud, I have already passed the tzaraf that qualified me for this moment. The result is on record. This new fire doesn't invalidate the last one. It confirms that my certification was necessary. The second tactic, the memory of the process. A specific memory of what you lived through during the testing period will come back. A moment of doubt, a mistake, a word you said in desperation. The enemy will use that memory to question if your result is even valid. It will sound like this. But do you remember when you doubted? When you said that? When you almost quit? How can you be certified if you did that? Recognize it as a tactic. The tzaraf is not invalidated by stumbles during the process. The silversmith doesn't pull the metal out because of the bubbles that appear on the surface. He pulls it out when he sees the reflection, and the reflection appears after the bubbles, not before. The weapon against the memory of the process is to declare, what I did during the fire doesn't determine the result. What determines it is that I remained until the reflection appeared, and the reflection appeared. The third tactic, the fear of repetition. A thought that you're going to have to go through all of that all over again. That it was just the first of many fires. It will paralyze your declaration. It will make you hesitate to receive the result fully because a voice will whisper, what if this is just the beginning? What if the next one is worse? The weapon against the fear of repetition is this. Every tzaraf has a specific result. It is not an infinite loop. You aren't going to go through the same fire again because you aren't the same person who went into it. Refined metal doesn't go back into the same furnace. You might go through another process, but never the same one. Declare, I am certified. My next process will not be a repetition. It will be an elevation, and there is a fourth enemy, more dangerous than the other three. It is your own voice disguised as spiritual maturity. It will sound like this. Is the result really as big as it seems? Isn't it an exaggeration to say I'm certified? Wouldn't it be more humble to say I just survived? That thought comes with a voice of humility. But it is the residue of the process trying to cancel the delivery. The difference between humility and residue is this. Humility recognizes it was God who did the refining. Residue says that maybe God didn't finish. When that voice comes, and it will come on the second or third day after this video, you declare, I don't determine the result. The refiner does. And he saw his reflection. The result has been declared. I simply receive it. If during the protocol you feel that the fire hasn't quite ended yet, the Miracle Journal has a specific protocol for that stage too. First pinned comment. But now for the closing. Close your eyes now. Place your right hand over your heart. Take a deep breath. What starts now isn't for your mind to process. It's for your spirit to receive. Look at the palms of your hands, not for the gesture, to see what has been refined. I release you from all guilt for taking so long to understand it was a test. Let it go. I release you from every question about whether there was something wrong with you. Let it go. I release you from every comparison with those who were moving forward while you were in the fire. Let it go. I release you from the version of you that existed before the tzaraf. Release it with gratitude. That version was necessary to get you here, but it is no longer who you are. Say it out loud. I let go. Again, a third time. Now I call forth the metal that stood its ground, the identity that didn't leave, that stayed until the reflection appeared. What this identity authorizes is the receiving of a result that isn't available to those who left early. Activate it now. I call forth the bearer of the image, the identity that carries the mark of the fire. What this identity authorizes is for you to walk into chaos and have God's reflection appear through you without effort. Activate it now. I call forth the fire certified, the identity that no longer has to prove anything. What this identity authorizes is an authority that cannot be revoked by any future circumstance. Activate it now. Take another deep breath. What comes now is the Father's voice. I saw you in the moment you asked if you'd made a spiritual mistake. I saw the confusion. I saw the pain. I was not absent. I was watching the metal, every second of the process. I saw you when you said you didn't know anymore. It wasn't quitting. It was the moment you stopped trying to control and started trusting that I was in control. That was when the reflection started to appear. I saw you when you watched others moving forward while you were stuck, and you didn't know they were moving on paths that weren't yours. Your path went through the fire, not as punishment, but for qualification. And when I saw my reflection in you, I declared the result. You didn't just survive. You were transformed. The result is real. Receive it. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. Don't say amen just yet. You are committed. You are commissioned. You are sent. The anointing was confirmed in heaven. Now it needs to survive the next moment of concrete testing. And he who is commissioned without full coverage walks in an open field. The miracle journal is in the first pinned comment. Not as a substitute for what you received in this message, but as a companion to defend what has been sealed. It costs less than a latte and a bagel at the coffee shop. With a 7-day guarantee, the risk is ours. The hand is yours. Click it now, while the decree is still alive in your chest. Not tomorrow. Not after your shower. Not after you talk to someone. Because the first person you talk to will have a reasonable opinion that will cost you the protocol of your house. And those who leave it for later, leave it for never. That voice whispering right now. See it later. Decide tomorrow. Now isn't the time. You've already spent enough this week. You need to think it over. That voice is not yours. It sounds like you. It uses your vocabulary. It knows your excuses. But it is the voice of what tries to keep blessings withheld before your next step of victory. You've already passed once. You don't need to repeat the process because you hesitated now. Click before the window closes. Now, yes. Amen. In the next video, I'm going to show you what to do in the first 7 days after receiving your Zarif result, and how to ensure the refined metal isn't lost for lack of positioning. That video was aligned to find you exactly after this one. Click the video appearing on your screen now. Before you go down to the comments and write, I am metal refined by fire. The result has been declared. I receive it. Write it as someone signing something they intend to honor tomorrow morning, when the message is just a memory and what you did with it is the only testimony that remains. And there is one person in your life who is in the middle of the fire right now and doesn't know it's Zarif. One specific person, not a group. Someone whose confusion about what they're living through you recognized as your own. Send this video to that person today. One day, they will remember it was you who sent it when they needed it most. And if they want the full protocol, the link is in the first pinned comment. It is done. What was delivered here has been delivered. You are not the same person you were when this message began. Sit with that gravity for one more moment.